Hi friends, since I'm not really a fan of eggs, today I'm going to make an eggless cake for you. Alright, let's get started. For the best texture, make sure to sieve the flour 3 times. You can see this flour has a slightly creamy, almost beige color. This is actually my first time using this type of flour. Honestly, I wouldn't really recommend it for this recipe. I usually use regular unbleached white flour and the cake always turns out incredibly delicious. This one wasn't bad, but it was a good reminder for me to stick with the white flour I normally use. In a large bowl, I added about half a cup of oil. Next, I add 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of plain yogurt. First, I mix everything with a spoon. Then, I use an electric mixer until the mixture becomes smooth and well combined. Just like this. Now, gradually add the flour while mixing. Now, I'm adding the rest of the flour and mixing it well with a spoon. Then I use the electric mixer for about 1 to 2 minutes until everything becomes smooth and well combined. Look how nice and smooth the batter is now. Since the batter was a little runny, I added about half a cup more flour. I actually have 2 eggless cake recipes and I haven't used this one in a long time. The measurements in this recipe are a little different from the one I usually make. Next time, I'll make the other version for you using the white flour and the measurements I normally use. It always turns out perfect. Now I'm adding a little milk and mixing it again. Now I'm grating some nutmeg using a coarse grater, just enough to lightly cover the surface of the batter is perfect. Then I cover the bowl and let it rest at room temperature for about 15 minutes. Now I'm adding the baking soda. Since yogurt is acidic, it activates the baking soda and helps the cake rise. I'm also adding the baking powder. Add the milk gradually. I mixed batter and it felt a bit thick, so I'm adding a little more milk and mixing again. See, this looks much better now. The batter should slowly fall from the spoon, not too runny and not too thick. This is the milk I didn't end up using. Once the mixture reached the consistency I wanted, adding more milk would make it too watery. Now in the cake pan that I lined with parchment paper on the bottom and around the sides, I start with adding some chopped walnuts and pumpkin seeds. Then I pour in some of the cake batter and continue layering like this. I fill the cake pan a little over halfway, then sprinkle more walnuts and pumpkin seeds on top. Next, I gently tap the cake pan 2 or 3 times to release any air bubbles. Then I place it in a preheated at 350 Fahrenheit or 180 Celsius and bake it for about 45 minutes. To check if the cake is done, I insert a toothpick into the center and pull it out. As you can see, nothing sticks to it, which means the cake is ready. It's always best to test it before taking it out of the oven. If the toothpick comes out with batter on it, let the cake bake a little longer. Check again after about a minute, because if it stays in the oven too long, the cake can burn. Always wait until the cake has completely cooled before removing it from the cake pan. And here is my cake. Look how soft it is. Give it a try and enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.